But the fact that you all even talking about it excels the point.
Look, to be fair,
this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, to be fair, look,
it's so iconoclast that this is what they wanted.
Okay, Esther, I mean, to be fair, Jaguar is a very successful company.
Not anymore.
And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, because we've seen with Gillette, we saw it with Bud Light, we've seen it time and again. When corporations tend to veer woke like this, it tends to go broke in the short term, and they revert back to their previous style. But can you see a method to the madness?
No, absolutely not. Here's the thing. This idea that all publicity is good publicity is not true, because Bud Light got a lot of publicity and they also lost about 30% of the value of their shares. And
Gillette was a total disaster.
Well, exactly. And so this idea that Jaguar had as a method to the madness, they're forgetting the people that usually buy it. Jaguar, like many cars, are lifestyle brands and they're associated with certain people. Jaguar is associated with upper middle class British women who don't want to look like asylum inmates, which is basically what the people in the advert look like. They don't want to look crazy. They don't want to look like they have nowhere to be and they're just bone idle. And the reality is Jaguar, this is the method to their madness, which is just madness. They're trying to pivot more towards electric vehicles. The shock they're going to have is the people that say, oh, this is great and everything, they either don't drive because they live in London, or they wouldn't buy Jaguars anyway. So they're alienating the people that typically would, whose consumer spending has gone down, because I don't know if people have noticed, but the British economy is going to pot. And it's just a crazy strategy all over. And who are they going to sell this to outside of British consumers?
Well, that's the question. I mean, the question for me with all these things, I remember as a long-time Gillette consumer, when they launched that ridiculous commercial attack basically on their male consumers, calling us all a bunch of wannabe Harvey Weinsteins until you proved otherwise. And it cost them $9 billion on the bottom line.
We got a lot of interesting videos to get into tonight, man. Just wanted to start it off. Baseline, Piers Morgan panel. I thought they discussed some good topics. Again, I hadn't seen the Jaguar ad myself. Maybe this is some of your guys' first time seeing it as well. So just kicking off the stream with this, we're going to bounce around. But go ahead and like the video if you're just now getting in here, man. Happy Friday. Appreciate the support. Just drop a like. That's all we ask. It's free. Double tap that screen, or you can hit the 3 buttons in the upper right-hand corner. Supports the stream, helps us get the video pushed in the algorithm. It increases the discourse. We can expand the conversation, all that good stuff. So like the video, it's free. It's all we ask. We appreciate the support.
Before they did a screeching U-turn back to the burly guys carrying little babies. Making them
almost
feel good about themselves.
Yeah, like a Bud Light 2.0. Yeah.
And then we saw the thing with Bud Light with that ridiculous Dylan Mulvaney campaign, which was completely the opposite of everything that Bud Light would normally be selling to their consumers, and they got the kicking it deserved. Is the same thing going to happen here, do you think?
Absolutely. The woke market has crashed. It's been pushed off for so long because the general populace of both of our fine countries have been done with this stuff for a long time anyway. And read the room. Look how much the world changed just in the last couple of weeks. The perception of the world with Donald Trump's re-election is people being done with this stuff. I was waiting for the punchline in this ad, because this could be the greatest troll ever if they come back and go, just kidding, and they show a guy about to shag a girl in a Jaguar. That'd be awesome, but that's not going to happen here. And they didn't even have a car in there. And when you're being trolled by Elon on Twitter, do you sell cars? By the guy who's outselling them, it's hilarious. So I love seeing this. I mean, go ahead and crash and burn.
And Elon's trolling just about everybody right now. I ain't gonna lie. A guy like Elon, he's feeling on top of the world. Think about it. One of the richest people ever. He's in pretty good popularity with Trump right now. So he's put himself in pretty good position as far as being in the spotlight favorably, right? X, one of the most trending social media companies that there is right now. I think they shared a status, the #1 downloaded social media app, or it might be the #1 downloaded app right now. So X is doing extremely well. Tesla is doing extremely well. SpaceX is doing well. We just seen the exhibition of the rocket about a month or so ago. Elon is in a place where he can really I wanted to say something inappropriate there, but Elon is in a spot where he could really flex his muscle on a lot of folks. You know, he's in a good spot right now. And I mean, he's talking his ish, and I can't blame the man. I love to see it, man. When you're doing good and when you're winning, sometimes you got to let other folks know.
Burn at this point if you're going to be this.
There's a time for humility, but all the time ain't that time.
Glover from Jaguar said, if we play in the same way that everybody else does, we'll just get drowned out. We shouldn't turn up like an auto brand. We don't want to necessarily leave all our customers behind, but we do need to attract a new customer. To which I would say, having owned Jaguars in the past, I mean, you are going to feel alienated if you're a Jaguar driver right now. You're going to.
Funny story. I almost bought a Jaguar as my first car. Glad I didn't though, but it was a sharp looking car. But man, I was spared from the expensive repair bills and the impeding breakdown that or the breakdown that car was most likely gonna perform on me or most likely have on me. But yes, my first car was almost a Jaguar. Funny enough.
Going to think I have nothing in common with this. This is not aimed at me anymore. They don't want
well,
people
rich,
like
rich
me.
people don't want to look crazy. I mean, like poor people don't want to look crazy. So, I mean, what's going to happen to the CEOs is probably going to be handed as P45 in the next few months, because that's exactly what happened with Red Bull that tried this sort of woke campaigning in 2020. They were fired. The CEO fired the entire team. I mean, when you replace your marketing team with asylum inmates and Canva, like, what do you expect? Why would any wealthy British woman, of which there are a reducing number of them,
Well, you know what? We may be on the verge of true historic greatness here, where it may be in like 6 months' time we reconvene and Ernest has been proven right, and that doing such a extraordinarily weird campaign aimed at people like Ernest turned out to be a piece
who doesn't own a car, by the way.
Turned out to be a piece of marketing genius, and Ernest will have now bought 5 Jaguars off the back of it, as will all his mates. And you know what? You'll have the last laugh, Ernest.
Possibly. But what I will say is that I just think historically we have seen campaigns that when you look back at Apple, when you look at people who have done radical, wild things, some stuff don't work and some things do. But I think it's very interesting that the group that's so against council culture are so invested in killing this brand that's been around for decades over one silly ad.
I don't want to kill it. I just want to, like, cars are not cheap. I'm not going to.
I love the brand. Listen, I love the brand of Jaguar. I just don't. I actually want to help them, not kill them. I think I think it's. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll see, Ernest, whether you're proven right. I wouldn't put money on it, just to be that's an FYI.
They're not going to go away. I mean, this is not going to be that bad. I think it's going to be okay.
Let's see. Let's turn to Wicked. So Wicked's the biggest movie in the world right now. It's taking nearly 150 million.
A woke movie doing great at the box office. Shocker.
What's that?
Shocker. I said shocker. You was, earlier
they've just made over $10 million over the amount they spent on it. That's not exactly.
Hang on, what's the point you're making?
No, but it could have flopped.
What's the point you're making?
Barely broken even.
Well.
Hang on. What is the point you're making, Ernest?
The point I'm making is that I find it interesting that there was during the whole election cycle, there was all this talk about, people are done with this woke marketing and this type of stuff, but it outpaced Gladiator at the box office. This very hyper masculine film that was supposed to be the big juggernaut, but Wicked is doing numbers. People don't like musicals anymore, but all of a sudden people went to go see Wicked.
Okay, first of all, Gladiator.
Somebody's gonna have to explain the hype to me behind Wicked. Like, that's been the thing since I was a kid. I remember some of my middle school classmates hyping that up. Never seen the play, never seen the movie, never read the book. And I mean, I promise, I might just be ignorant on this, so please fill me in where I need filled in, where necessary. But please, somebody's gonna have to detail the hype. I just never understood it. I just thought it was one of those. I don't know. What's the lore behind it? What's the hype? Somebody explain it to me, please. If I'm missing out, I don't want to be. Like, just explain it to me and maybe I'll be able to understand.
Is underperforming.
Hang on,
and
let me play.
They've just broken even.
All right,
they're not. They've just made the money.
What it is indisputably doing well. I want to play it. This is very odd. This is like a mashup from the press.
Oh shit! And shout out Big Wave Dave, another $5. He said, by the way, Key, what was showed is not the actual commercial. Okay, well then I'll have to pull up the full commercial then. I appreciate you telling me that. I'll literally look for the full commercial right now and we'll play it.
From Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, who've been just behaving in a slightly odd manner.
Oz is so full of queerness and celebration and beautiful differences, and so is Earth.
This week, people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Read the book? I'll read the book. That's probably the one thing I'm most inclined to read is the book, or the one thing I'm most inclined to engage with out of all the things that they've put out. I'm probably not going to watch the movie. Most likely not going to watch the play, but I'll read the book. I'll read the goddamn book if it's worth it. But I'm not even really into like that fictional stuff like that. That's not really my. It's not really my cup of tea per se. But hey, if it's worth reading, I'll read it.
I didn't know that was happening.
Every day in the Emerald City is a pride parade.
Oh my God,
right?
yeah.
I mean, look at like.
That's great.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Even like the chickens.
Oh, is
Those
Ariana
chickens
Grande in
are
it?
gay.
Kate.
No, Drotti,
Let's have
it's
a-
all a bit weird.
I used to have an unreasonable crush on that girl, Ariana Grande. I used to have a very unreasonable crush on her.
There's a suggestion there's a kind of wicked cult that's being
Shout out
developed
Ariana
here.
Grande if you're watching.
Well, there's always been a wicked cult, to be real, with the play that, full disclosure, I saw 20 years ago on a date with my wife. And it is patient zero for like the subversion of expectations, but this has had a fan base for decades. This was always
See?
going to do well if they made it close to the source material. And it was a film made for women and gay men, and they are going to see it in droves, and that's fine. That's the kind of
Oh, Dave, I didn't know that. I didn't even know it had a connection to the Wizard of Oz. Like I said, I'm behind on the lore. It's one of those things I never really got into. So I would have never known about the connection, man. I would have never known. But shout out Big Wave Dave, providing that insight, and appreciate everybody tuning in to tonight's stream. We got over 200 of y'all already in here, man. We're just kicking things off. You're not too late to the show, man. Grab a seat. Happy Friday, happy Black Friday, whatever you want to call it. Double tap the screen, though. Show some support. It's free. It's all we ask. It increases the conversation, expands the discourse. You could also hit the 3 buttons in the upper right-hand corner. Yeah, I guess so, bro. I guess I do suck for not watching that. But we appreciate the support. Just like the video. And again, we appreciate you guys.
kind of film that should exist. For me, I just don't want Marvel to be wicked or Star Wars to be wicked. That's where the problem. This movie proves there's a difference between men and women. They both like different things. And not all women will agree, but they will definitely go see it. We saw it with Barbie. I would say Barbie was more hyper political than this. This is just a play where people break out in song. I did see it with my wife. It's the 9th circle of hell for me. I hate musicals, but I went because my wife has gone to a lot of superhero movies with me.
I'll probably take my daughter to see it. But Esther, today, hilariously, the British Board of Film Classification has issued a trigger warning on Wicked because of potential discrimination against green-skinned women and persecution of talking animals. The warning issued on their website states a green-skinned woman is mocked, bullied, and humiliated because of her skin color. A green-skinned woman. Yeah. There is no such thing as a green-skinned woman in the real world. Even Ernest knows there are no green-skinned women. Right, Ernest? Yes?
No, I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
No, I'll come back to you, Ernest. I'll come back to you. I just wanted to get clarification. There are no green-skinned women in the world. Esther, why do we have to endure this?
I think, to be honest, I'm such a cynic. First of all, I also hate musicals. There's not enough money you could pay me to go and watch that film. But also, I think I'm the cynic in me is saying this is a PR movie.
You know what's funny is I'm not necessarily a huge fan of musicals, but I can appreciate the classical, theatrical production value of a good musical. I'll be honest. I can appreciate it. It's not my favorite type of thing. It's not my necessarily my cup of tea, but I can appreciate its artistic value. But again, I just never was able to get in with Wicked. I wasn't aware of the connection between Wicked and Wizard of Oz. So now that you provided that context, or now that I've been filled in, I really might go and read the book at least. But man, I don't know. It was just something about how popular it was at the time. It just kind of went over my head as a kid. I didn't understand why kids and parents couldn't seem to stop talking about it for real. This is something that's huge now, but again, even I would say 15 to 20 years ago when I was in middle school or grade school, this was still something that a lot of kids and a lot of kids' parents were just caught up in the popularity of, like something that was always relevant.
Move. This is saying, slap something ridiculous on it so that the Daily Mail will pick it up, which it has, by the way. One of the most read newspapers in the country has picked it up. I don't think anyone's going to mistake the discrimination of green-skinned people, one, because it doesn't exist. I mean, why didn't they draw parallels with, I don't know, yellow-skinned people with jaundice? It's ridiculous. They're doing this as a PR stunt.
And the persecution.
No one is going to be offended by this.
And Ernest, the persecution of talking animals, for God's sake.
Yeah, like Dr. Doolittle.
No, I think, to be honest, I think that trolling's on both sides, clearly. Clearly, they succeeded in what they knew was going to happen, right? That certain, publications that clearly look for stuff like this to get angry about, we're going to react in the way
It is
they
not
did.
the British Board of Film Classification.
You have to get to a point where you
it's
look
not
at it
their
and say
job to goad people that they don't like. It's supposed to be a neutral organisation.
I think...
Oh, and quick shout out to Big Wave Dave, another $5, man. We appreciate the support early on. Definitely don't go see the movie. Just read the book. Okay. Yeah. It's probably easiest. I could probably get the book. Maybe even the audio book's available, but I don't know, bro. Like, again, it was just one of those things I just never got into, bro. And again, like, I might as well share this with the chat now. I just, for one reason, bro, I don't know what it was when I was a kid. It just certain what's the word? Certain movie franchises, certain characters, I just didn't never tuned into. I skipped over. I mean, if I wasn't, whether it be I wasn't allowed to watch it or I just didn't have a particular interest in it. Let me think. Harry Potter. I've never seen the Harry Potter series. I've never seen Lord of the Rings series. I just now as an adult have gotten into Star Wars. Star Trek, never really seen. Yeah, guys, any of that type of stuff I really didn't watch as a kid. So that's probably something personal to me. That's probably something specific to Key, but yeah, again, Wicked was just one of those series I just never got into.
I mean, true, but I think part of it is to start a conversation, right?
I bet
because
you they
a lot
were
of what
paid
goes on
a
in Wicked.
handsome sum to do this. I can guarantee there is some email chain somewhere in that organization that says we will give you a nice donation. It's obvious. There's no such thing as green-skinned people.
No, but you can't take it so literal. I think it's interesting, like conservatives, far right. You all have imagination about other people all the time, about what they're doing and what they're not doing. But for whatever reasons, even in fantasy and joke and humor, you all don't even be able to be lucid, like let go about that.
Ernest, you do understand, Ernest, that just because people don't sign up to your very woke worldview, it doesn't make them automatically far right. I mean, you are aware of that, right?
No one is offended by this. It's not like
everybody in this desk is far right.
You're making assumptions about my values. I'm not in this woke world. I think I'm in a very conscious world. I don't even use the word woke.
What does that mean?
You mean you're more awake than us because you've been so woke for so long?
I'm saying I'm more conscious. I'm more compassionate for
you think you have a bigger conscience than the rest of us?
I'm more compassion for different people.
Oh, shut up,
I would say compassion for different people.
Really?
It's true.
No, you don't.
Yes, I have compassion for transgender people.
Do you have
compassion for people who look different from myself?
Hang on.
So you're assuming we don't?
Compassion for different folks.
Apparently, we don't have compassion for those people.
I think some of the things you all have said on this show proves that.
Do you have compassion for women?
I have compassion for green-skinned people.
Do you have compassion for? Do you have compassion for women in women's sport or not?
I have compassion for anyone in any sport.
Right, but if you had compassion for them, you wouldn't want trans athletes ruining the integrity of women's sport. Let's move on.
Okay. Shout out Big Wave Dave 82, another $5. Appreciate that, Dave. Holy F key. I've watched what you have plus all what you never did. Yeah, probably, bro. I seen your movie selection on your app, bro. It was pretty deep. Bro had over 400 movies in his goddamn catalog. But yeah, did you and Set watch Clockwork Orange yet? Probably not. Dog, the likelihood of us being able to watch that together will probably have to be on a weekend. Shoot, we might be able to turn that into like a Discord watch party for real if you guys have any interest in that. But bro, no, I'll be honest, we haven't seen that yet. I think Hellbad, I want to say, maybe Fox Chase, one of those two gentlemen, one of the two members had suggested JoJo's Rabbit. I think that's the name of the movie about the adolescence of the infamous German with a mustache. I think that's what the movie's about. We haven't seen that yet. There's a couple movies we got on our list that have been suggested by the members and the supporters that we haven't quite yet got to. But if y'all are interested in seeing maybe a watch party in the Discord, like a little movie hangout where we could watch a movie, when you drop some commentary, let us know, man. We'll cue something like that up. That was actually kind of already in our plans, but maybe let us know a particular movie that you have interest in, or We'll get that conversation going in the Discord, man. And check out the membership program for access to the Discord. Shout out the members.
I want to move on to something more serious. No, we're moving on, Ernest. You've had your say. You've called us all a bunch of uncompassionate, far-right lunatics, which I think is probably enough for one segment. Let me switch gears now to a more serious topic, but an interesting one. Band-Aid has been accused of perpetuating a white saviour narrative after Ed Sheeran told his followers he didn't approve of his vocals being used on the 40th anniversary re-release of Do They Know It's Christmas. Posting to Instagram, Sheeran shared.
All right, and shout out Big Wave Dave 82, $2. I gave you my info to watch it. Let's go. All right, cool. We can get that going. Yeah, we should have some time this weekend in the Discord. We'll definitely queue that up. I don't care how many people pull up. It could be just 2, it could be 20, but we'll get that queued up, man. That sounds like a good time. And as from what you're saying, Dave, it's something we need to see. So yeah, we'll get that going, man. Shout out the membership program. Again, check that out. Membership program. I think the least expensive membership is $2.99, $3. Make sure to join that. Exclusive content, members only videos, priority in our call-in shows that we do on the weekends, as well as access to the Discord, exclusive membership Discord. We got some good conversations going in there, memes. With guys get in there and talk every now and again on a phone call. Good stuff, man. Make sure to check out that Discord and check out the membership program for access to all of those exclusive features.
Shared a statement by Ghanaian British musician Fuse ODG, who accused the campaign of dehumanizing Africans and destroying our pride and identity in the name of charity. And I'm delighted to say that Fuse ODG joins me now. Fuse, welcome to Uncensored. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It was a really interesting story, this. When I first read what Ed had said, I thought, hang on, come on. You can't attack Bob Geldof, Band-Aid, the whole thing live. It was so fantastic. It did so much good 40 years ago. Why go after it? Then I read what you'd said, on which this is what Ed based his response on. And it did make me just stop and think. If I was currently living in Africa, would I want this narrative to keep playing out, given how thriving and successful large parts of the African continent have become? And I think that's really the point you were making. But I don't know.
All right, and shout out James Foley. Good to see you, James. What's going on? $2. Request, please, good for holidays. Wookuk Never Song. Okay. I'll have to look it up. I'm definitely not familiar. But yeah, I'll have to look that up. And shout out Big Wave Dave 82. I'm not sure if I read this out or not. I bought it for you two to watch. But yeah, we'll get that queued up in the Discord probably sometime this weekend. It'll probably have to be throughout the day. That way it doesn't interfere with the nighttime show. But yeah, man, it sounds like a good time and look forward to it.
I'll put words in your mouth.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I think it's very important that, to recognize that the British public are a nation of givers. And, 1984, when the crisis started, the famine, it needed immediate attention. So I understand the sentiment behind helping that crisis. And in the short term, it made a lot of sense. There was great intentions behind it. There's a lot of efforts from the artists, Sir Geldof and the team. There was the intention to help something immediately. The perspective that I'm coming from is that fast forward 40 years later, right? I think there's a way to execute things, because in the midst of this act of kindness trying to solve a short-term crisis, we've created another crisis, which is the identity crisis, where for me, growing up in the UK, these kind of images really affected me to the point where I disconnected with being African. I was not proud of being African. And it's because of these kind of images that feeds, it just feeds a negative perception of the continent. And I just feel like, there's a way to solve a crisis without having to put down the people. So I'm just saying we just need a different model to allow us to solve a crisis, but still maintaining the dignity of the people. Because for me, I fall back in love with myself because I went back to Ghana, and I just want that child in school to just be themselves, and for other people to also see them as equal and just respect them. But I feel like images like what Band-Aid put out, it really, really destroys our collective pride and identity. And that's all I'm saying.
You know what? Yeah. You really did make me think. Now, Esther, you are also of Ghanaian heritage. Yeah. What's your response to that?
No, I totally agree. I mean,
hey, shout out the Ghanaians, bro. Whether it be scamming or coming over here and being an engineer or a doctor, they definitely getting money. They definitely getting money, man. Shout out to Africans, the Africans.
I was actually in Accra growing up when the 2004 single came out. And I remember me and my relatives were just like, what is this? I mean, I don't think you need to have children covered in flies or mud or take as sort of really quite dehumanizing pictures of people to appeal to people's sense of charity. It's not necessary. I've never seen a charity ad in the UK where you have like sort of British children going up chimneys with missing teeth.
All right, but hang on one second. All right, hang on. I'm going to jump in because I remember watching the original, it was Michael Burke, wasn't it? The original BBC report. And it was unbelievably powerful. And there was a genuine absolute crisis going on in Ethiopia, right? With so many children just literally dying of starvation. And he was so angered by what he saw that visceral rage came out through the screen. He was able to control it, but you could see it and feel it. And Bob Geldof felt it, and he felt, we are going to do something about these kids. As you said, Fuse, in the short term. So I think there's probably two different issues here, right?
There is.
Because
all right, so I can't necessarily find the Band-Aid ad that they're referencing, but I did find the Jaguar one. Let's pull that up real quick. James Foley, I do have your video queued up as well. Let me get through this Band-Aid or this Jaguar commercial real quick. Very quick ad, but just to add context of the full thing here. Let's see here. Make sure. And hopefully everybody's night's going well, man. Happy Friday. Like the video if you haven't already, man. Again, we appreciate the support. Go ahead and drop a like, man. It's free. It's all we ask. Helps the video, helps the stream, helps the channel, and helps expand the conversation. Okay. Man, am I missing something? Was this the right ad here? Very strange, very strange, very strange. It's kind of some of like this abstract shit. That's only really my takeaway is like this abstract art kind of, I don't know. That was weird. It doesn't really seem like it has anything to do with cars. There wasn't a car in sight. I really don't know what their goal was for that. But some of the conservative outrage that I've seen, it probably is a little bit overboard. I just really couldn't tell you. This ad seems like it kind of missed the mark. Like, if you didn't put Jaguar in here, like the word, the phrasing, the label, I wouldn't have known this was about Jaguar. I wouldn't have known this was about anything to do with cars. So again, it just seemed like it kind of missed the mark as far as advertising, but it's got everybody talking. So maybe this was their intent. I'm not sure. My biggest takeaway is this doesn't seem like it has little or anything to do with cars. So it just kind of leaves me a little bit confused. But hey, that's my takeaway. But James Foley, we'll get to your video in just a second. I just kind of wanted to pull up that Jaguar ad. Let me know what you guys think about that. Maybe you guys have a different take than I do, but it just seemed like, I don't know, just weird. Like, what was that? What did we watch? Like, somebody let me know. Like, what was y'all takeaway from that?
On the one level, I totally agreed with what they did at the time. On another level, I can understand why 4 decades later, in a far more prosperous Africa than there was then, I can understand why you feel the way you do.
There are better ways of raising money.
No, there is. It's possible to raise money without having to put those kind of images out. But I understand at the time, they had to put those kind of images in order for the public.
It did shock the world.
To shock the world. But I just feel like 40 years later, to still position Africa as a place of pity it's just not it's not constructive.
Well, what about the
for
response from
continent.
Bob Geldof? He said no abstract theory, regardless of how sincerely held,
Hey,
should
thanks,
impede
James.
or
Appreciate
distract
it,
from
dog.
that hideous, concrete, real-world reality. There are 600 million hungry people in the world. 300 million are in
Yeah,
Africa.
Jaguar like
we
the
wish
car.
it were other, but it is
Yes,
not.
bro.
We can help some of them. That's what we'll continue to do. Does he have a point, Fuse? I mean, you know, if half the world's hungriest people still live in Africa, what is wrong with him continuing to prick the conscience of prosperous people outside of Africa to help?
Yeah, just to put it into context, 300 million people, there's 1.4 billion people in Africa, right? My issue is that there's a way that we can still help people without having to take away their pride and dignity. There's 95.5 million people that can't afford a proper meal in Europe. That's 1 in 9 versus 1 in 10 in Africa.
Right.
But somehow we're able to help and you know, bring these initiatives to help these people without having to destroy their pride and identity. And also another issue that, you know, I like to point out is that yes, there was a crisis happening and they needed, you know, an immediate solution to it. But it branded the whole of the continent as a place of famine and war and poverty and death. But it was just a crisis.
All right, and shout out James Foley, man. Song suggestions, musical interludes, man. This has become a staple here at Set and Keep Media, apparently, man. You guys like these, so we'll keep doing them, man. Anything for the show, anything for the supporters. Shout out James Foley. He says, whitest kids you know, the Never song. This should be good, not gonna lie. This should be good, chat. Let's get into it, man. Shout out the supporters. Keeping things interesting here.
Never talk back to your mom and dad when you are mad. Never talk back to your mom and dad when you are mad. Never be rude and disrespectful. Never break rules, then get forgetful. Never throw a tantrum on the floor. Never shout at them and slam the door. 'Cause that's how you get grounded. Never cheat off some other kid's test when you're in school. Never cheat off some other kid's test when you're in school. Never get the answer from a friend. Never sneak in notes written on your hand. Never let your eyes begin to wander from your paper to another. 'Cause that's how you get sent to the principal. Never take cough syrup, mix it up with iodine and lie. Never take cough syrup, mix it up with iodine and lie. Never take the strike pads off a matchbook or go to a hardware store and then look near paint thinners from your nitric acid. Never go bring a pot into a rapid boil or get hydrogen peroxide. Never go to a farming store and then buy pH strips and PVC pipes. Those fuel cans that make outdoor grills. 'Cause that's how you make crystal meth.
Okay. All righty. Well, damn. Okay. Yeah, shout out James Foley for that. That was wild. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, well, we all seen that, so yeah. I'm not even sure what to say about that, but shout out Big Wave Dave. $50, man. We appreciate it. Baller alert, man. Shout out Big Wave Dave. Always showing support, man. We appreciate it. Y'all make sure to go check out Big Wave Dave's channel, man. We're trying to get that sucker built up. You know, he's got the recording equipment. He's got the location. He's gonna start uploading very consistently very soon. So